Hello and welcome to the 2021 Milwaukee Film Festival presented by Associated Bank. I'm Dara Carneol. I'm a member of the high school filmmaking course and a member of the Teen Screen Selection Committee at Milwaukee Film. And I am so thrilled to be joined today for a Q&A with Martina, Matzkin, and Lucía. They're the director and the producer of the short film The Name of the Sun. And I am just so honored to have the opportunity to talk to you about this really emotional and sensory piece that you've created here. So I will just start off by asking, what inspired you and why did you want to tell this story?
Well, thank you so much for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here and to get to so distant audiences for us. Well, we were very inspired by what was happening in our country particularly, but in the whole world with trans infancies and youths, and how their families were supporting them, and slowly governments and laws, and I hope someday society. It looked very revolutionary, not only by the way gender identity is understood, which is something historical, obviously, but also in the way that childhood is conceived, how governments, how adults were taking into account what kids felt and thought, instead of just thinking there was just a face or they were confused. So that was very inspiring, and I wanted to learn about that a bit more and to understand. And I thought it was something that should be told and communicated.
Awesome. And then could you maybe explain what the filmmaking culture and industry in Argentina is like?
Well, yes, I will take this one. In our case, we made this short film with our National Film Institute support. With there is a how do you say concurso, Marty? Help me.
Like a contest.
A contest for short films that it's very known and very important. There is not so much opportunities to get money for filming short films, as maybe you have already seen it, and this short film can be made as a professional cinema structure with very professional team workers and a beautiful camera and beautiful lenses and a lot of time invested in. But here in Argentina, as in most of other places in the world, making cinema is something very expensive in the industrial conception of it. So if you want to do it professionally. So most of the times, one way of doing it is trying to get some help from our state institute. There are, of course, other kinds of cinema, and there's independent cinema. In this case, we work with the institute. But well, as I think in many places, for making cinema, you have to love it a lot, because it's not easy. It's not cheap, but it's so beautiful. So that's a little of our path.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And I was just curious, was this film, when it was released, was it pretty widely accepted, or did you face some like backlash, because I know some people are so like appalled by, I don't know, like stuff about like gender identity. So I just want to know like the response.
Well, actually, it wasn't that easy to know what people thought, because most of the showings were online and in different countries. We and we weren't there, so maybe there were. We don't actually know. We received very kind and beautiful words. We were just in one live presentation of the film, which was actually the first, and that was pretty amazing. And so now we are intrigued. We don't know. we hope no one's angry about it. And yeah, I don't know, but it has been very positive. The reception, actually, it's been in very different places, like from kids film festivals, youth LGBTIQ festivals. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
We had the chance to have our premiere in Berlinale in one children section, and our first audience were kids between 7 and 11 years old, and it was a wonderful audience with very open and wide open mind and eyes and heart. So I think we have a lot of luck, because that made us to feel very confident, because we talk to kids that maybe are very close to our main character. But I think maybe a challenge for this short film is to have a second tour, not in so beautiful and kind festivals, and maybe try to arrive to other people and to other places, I don't know, schools, jails, anywhere where other eyes, other kind of minds and stories and personal stories can meet this story. It would be wonderful, but we are open to invitations.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've gotten such a great response to this like beautiful piece of work that you've put out. And so just moving on to some questions about the film itself. When you were like developing the idea or like the storyline, what were some like moods or feelings that you wanted to like convey through the screen, if that makes any sense?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know if that's something thought from the story, but well, yes. I mean, in a script, in the moment I was writing the script, I was thinking about that, but actually, like the final moods and rhythms were made while filming, and actually when we were editing too. But I think something that would define the mood, it's like this cloudy kind of not very bright, low contrast feel. It's not just a color or a light. It's something you can feel. Like you're kind of confused and lost and can't see through. So that was the mood we were trying to create by all the elements possible. Well, but just trying to change that mood through the end.
Awesome. I really felt that really kind of like foggy, low contrast. I thought it was really beautiful. And I also noticed that the ocean plays like a big part in this film, and how there's like a lot of reverence towards like natural beauty, and it seems that Lucho he feels at ease in front of the water. So I was wondering if there was any like personal elements to that, if if you've grown up besides the water or you just love it. I was just curious because I noticed that was like a big theme.
That's interesting. I've never thought if it was something personal. I believe I don't have an ocean very close to no, I haven't been there many times. I do have like this both two feelings that could be like completely opposite, but they can go together. Like I love it and I'm interested and I want to be inside it, and like I've actually like dive and I love it, but I'm a bit scared of it also. Like, you know, when you are in the sea and you know there are so many, like it's transparent, but at the same time you cannot see through because like it's dark. You don't know what's behind, no, not behind, under you. So and it's so strong. You cannot control yourself. You cannot control it. It's nature itself. So yes, it kind of represented that, something that you can be really scared. You can just like put a little bit, you put your feet a little bit, and it's interesting, and life is there, and it cannot be controlled, but you can go step by step, maybe holding someone's hand and just try to enter little by little.
Yeah, I never thought of it. It's like a beautiful like danger almost. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but very interesting. And then let's see, what creative choices that you made in the film do you think you were most proud of?
I think this is a road we made with Lucía. Like the creative road of this short film was really collective, and with Lucía it started in the script and it finished with the last cut. We were together all the time, and something that was really important for this short film was taking away like 80% of the dialogues that were in the first draft of the script. I was always terrified by taking any words of those dialogues because I was afraid that maybe the audience wouldn't understand what was happening or what the characters were feeling, etc. And I always tell Lucía that I remember like the one of the last dates when while we were with the editor, and she just looked at us and say like, you know, we have to let all this go now. Right? And I would have never dared to that, but we decided that would be the best thing for the short film, and it was. Happily, we were able to transmit things to the audience. Even I think even more that with dialogues, that maybe taking away the dialogues lets you talk better than with so many words. Right?
I would add to what Martina is saying that sometimes I feel that the producer role is to help the director to feel confident with their decisions, and we didn't take out dialogue, but Martina already said everything with the camera, so it haven't. I mean, the challenge wasn't to take out words, if not to realize that the words were there in the sound and in the color and in this foggy and in the character expression. And sometimes directors and young directors, as Martina, or maybe you, Dara, I don't know, need to work, to watch a lot of your own work to begin understanding what you can say, what's your huge ability to transmit emotions. And also the creative work with all the rest of the short film was a very collective work. Our actors and were fine with work of a coach very known here in Argentina. That it's a person very creative. Our sound director is a friend of Martina and now of me too, and he's very generous. And the director of photography, it's a beautiful, talented girl, and our editor. So it was something very collective, very beautiful, and made with a lot of commitment from everyone. I don't know. I feel it's something very a teamwork, really.
Yeah, and then also touching upon these actors, your casting process, were these people that you've cast, were they actors or were they just locals, and like how did you kind of find and discover them?
Well, actually, the actor that plays the father is the only one that it's an actor. Well, Tristan, which is the protagonist, he studied theater, but it was the first time he filmed, and it was very interesting casting process. We work, as Lucía said, with Laura Birch, which is like, I don't know, the most talented person to do this process, and Maria Milwaukee, which is a woman she works with. I mean, there's a team. At the first, we just knew that we wanted a transgender kid to represent Lucho, a transgender or non-binary, because we thought there was like a bit of a lack of representation of particularly at that moment, and particularly youth. I mean, not that much adults, but like to see transgender kids, transgender teens in the screen was not that common. And if we were going to make a story about that, I mean, that was something like a political decision. So that's where the casting started.
Yeah, and then I was also just wondering about any future projects or any details that you're willing to share, or what direction you want to like go towards in.
Well, we both have different projects at the moment, but well, at least in my case, it's a bit like with the pandemics. It's not here. We are not able to film, at least in this particular project. So I'm not really sure what will happen with that, or when we will be able to continue with it. But I'm actually working into different documentaries, and one of those documentaries is actually made with Tristan, which is the protagonist of the short film. And the other one is about 3 transgender women that work as caretakers in a nursing home for elderly here in Argentina. So that's not something it's so easy to film at the moment, but we hope we can continue with it soon.
I am also working with some development of other project, but this is the second time this week we are asked about our future. So I am starting to think to convince Martina of the future film of Lucho and this story. I don't know. Maybe you can help me. Maybe it's time to work about it and to keep him alive in screens.
I would love to watch a feature film about Lucho. I would.
Sí.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
We have a new project.
Yes.
It would
And
be,
then,
yes.
and then for my last question, do you have any advice for young filmmakers such as myself as to how to like pursue your dreams, or just any wisdom you'd like to share?
Well, I have no wisdom at
I have
all, but I believe I have two advices. One would be that you will never make a film until you make it. Like sometimes you are developing so much and just writing and rewriting and thinking and maybe just trying to get a phone and trying and years and years pass and you don't notice because you're very young and you're not making anything. So maybe it's better to grab a few friends and a cell phone and just start filming. Like even if you just keep it and never show it anywhere, and then you make your second, and then you make your third. That's the best way to learn and to do. And you will be making films, so just don't sit and wait something to happen, because it won't happen. Secondly, would be surround yourself with a team. I don't know if someone is able to do cinema on their own, and usually you start by your own because you just start watching a movie and writing, and I don't think it's something enjoyable or able to if you're alone. You really have to do it collectively, so it's important to have those people around. And Lu, I don't know.
I agree with Martina, and I would start by your last advice, and I was going to say the same thing, but I will add to that surround yourself with people that you believe in and that believe in you, that make you feel confident about your work and your ideas, and that you also feel very proud of how they work and how they film and how they think. So you will feel always close to like a home. And it's important because it's a very long process to make cinema, and there's in many kinds of feelings. Sometimes you're happy and it's a party and it's very funny and wonderful, and other times things are difficult and you plan something and then there's, I don't know, a huge pandemic episode and other endless other things. So being surrounded by like collaborators that feel like friends, it's important, and with a lot of confidence between you. And the second advice is that it's something that I haven't said. I read it in a book from an author from here called Leila Guerriero, that I love a lot. She's a journalist from here, from Argentina, and she has advices for journalists. And in this case, I think they fit for cinema too. And she says, have something to say. And I would repeat it, have something to say, have something to say. That's important. Believe in what you're saying and say it, and have something to say. That would be all.
That is great advice, that have something to say and say it. I love it.
Great.
I just want to thank you both so much for sharing your time and allowing me to interview you. This is such an amazing experience. And please make sure to support the Milwaukee Film Festival. We cannot do as well as throughout the pandemic, so we need the support of our members. And if that sounds appealing to you, please join us. And if you're already a member, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much for having us. Thank you very much.